Mentoring matters. My guest today is someone who believes passionately about mentoring. I attended one of her first programs, which was a walk, and today she's built several Raj programs around mentoring. Stay tuned to know what I'm talking about. I love your work and I've been following it for quite a bit. And I remember I attended one of your first mentoring walks. So from there to now, when you have LEAP, which is a fairly large mentoring program, plus other mentoring programs. Um, so just break down mentoring for me. What is mentoring and what does it achieve for the person who's getting mentored?
My first exposure to a formal structured mentoring program happened when I was nominated for a program known as a Fortune Most Powerful Women program.
Okay.
It's a program which is jointly co-owned by Fortune magazine as well as the US Embassy, and there's another organization known as Vital Voices. It's one of the largest non-profit organization which is actually investing in women leadership. And it's been funded and founded by Hillary Clinton initially, and now of course it's a quasi public-private partnership out there. So they had invited me to be a part of this program, in which I spent more than a month in US, being mentored by some amazing women leaders, and some of them were like Fortune 500 company CEOs. So my mentor was Kathy Calvin, CEO of UN Foundation, Geraldine Lebon, who was a founder of Oxygen Media, the channel owned by Nickelodeon channel.
Okay.
And also Donna Arenter, she is a fantastic person, and many more. And during that program, I realized that it does give you such diverse perspective when you are going with certain thought or certain dilemma in your mind, and someone from an outside in is looking in and helping you and guiding you, that how you should be looking or expanding your horizons. Many a ways, a lot of our programs has been inspired by the programs which I have attended globally. And why we have taken those best practices and tried to emulate out here. So global mentoring walk was actually it's a global campaign which is every year in the International Women's Day. More than around 400 walks are organized across the globe.
Whoa, okay.
Our team themselves, we organize close to almost 6 to 8 walks every year. And we have other partners. So in India, we have now grown from 6 to 8 walks, we have now grown to almost 30 odd walks.
Wow.
And it's all been done by different types of alumni network of this cohort.
Okay.
And so India itself hosts around 30 odd walks out of those 200, 300 odd walks. The whole idea of the global mentoring walk was to instill the values of mentoring and women helping other women. It's a myth saying that women don't help other women. But we also went back and said just creating that value is not enough, because we realized that many a times women do not have an access to those kind of networks where they can seek mentors. To mitigate that, we decided to launch LEAP. 2013 was the first time when we launched LEAP. We started with 12 mentees and 12 mentors, and then we didn't look back. Now it's got 140 mentees go through every year batch.
Wow.
We run some 4 batches out of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Pune. And they go through intensive 3 days training program, which is leadership skills training. Then it's followed by one-on-one CXO mentor, mentoring them for the next 6 months.
Wow.
During these 6 months, they get global webinars, which are being hosted by global thought leaders like Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. We had recently Lauren Anderson. She was one of the first woman FBI person. Zarina Stanford, CMO of Back Office Associates. So some very strong global thought leaders come on board as speakers, talking about different topics. And we also have a coaching panel to help any of the mentees in case if they need any help. So it's a very intensive program, and by the end of the 6 months program, they also get a chance to graduate in front of 300 plus people at our annual conference known as I Inspire.
Right.
And so it's a very highly aspirational quotient program, but the journey doesn't end there. There are 3 things which happen. Most of the mentees find that they are now having much more confidence. They are able to, not only speak and take charge of their careers more, they're also able to access better networks. Their peer networks, they're cross-industry programs, so it's a peer networks grows big high. They have an access to at least 2 to 3 mentors whom they can seek out, and many of these relationships has continued beyond the program. And also our relationship with these mentees also continue because they remain a part of the alumni network of BeyonDiversity for life. They get an access to all our webinars, all our content, all our materials for life. And they get invited to all our programs as well. So the idea is to be able to create a cohort of these young professional women's network who are able to support each other.
Would you recommend mentor? It's not like, I'm stuck somewhere or I'm lost, which is why now I need a mentor. Or would you recommend mentoring for everyone through the course of their career? Or
Absolutely.
Through,
Absolutely.
It's recommended.
To say that I've graduated and I can only be a mentor and can never be a mentee, I think that is the biggest fallacy you can have.
You're continuously learning and you're continuously
Exactly. I
advice.
always seek. I always ask for help. I am always seeking out mentors for different things. I do not have an understanding for technology. If I need some technology help, I'll seek a tech mentor. And many a times, the young team in my, we have young peppy girls who have recently joined us in the team, and in fact, young boys also. And I'm learning every day from them. So that's reverse mentoring for me. And I think I gained so much on both the sides, being a mentor as well as being a mentee, that it's mind-boggling. So I would say yes, you should be seeking mentor at every juncture of your life.
But like you pointed out, seeking a mentee, figuring out mentees, or figuring out a mentor, that's the tough part also. Whom should you approach? How would you be taken? Who are your mentors? The other thing I wanted to ask you, this program that you run, it's a corporate program, or can someone, an individual also be a part of this? So for example, if I'm looking for a mentor, where would I go? Can I come into your program, or does it have to happen through the corporate that I'm working for?
No, it is open to everyone. Of course, corporates, nominate their high potential women leaders as mentees, but it is open to individuals also. But application does not necessarily mean selection. We get closer to almost 3x the applications of the programs, and we go through a lot of what you call selection criteria.
Right.
When we ask people to fill in their goal sheet, that itself many a times people drop out because it's a relatively lengthy process. We need that to be able to match them to the right mentor and to give them the right curriculum part of it. So we take it very seriously. In terms of how to seek the right mentors, many a times it happens so that people are not they always have this inhibition to ask for help. But trust me, it's human nature that whenever you ask someone else for help, that person will always feel very good. You're putting that person in a privileged situation that he or she is in a position to help you, right? And many a times we hesitate on that. I have sought mentors over a cup of tea, where I've met and I said, hey, you know what, I need help on this. Can you guide me on this? That's also could be seen as a mentor. I have sought all my board of advisors who act as mentoring board for me or for my organization, where we have interacted with them socially or professionally, and over a period of time, I've just asked them that, would you like to come on our board of advisors, which is basically a mentoring board for us. And trust me, that has been the best decision I've done in my life. It's not easy, I know. But it's not that difficult either. It's all just about asking for help. And then also trusting your instinct that who is the right fit in chemistry for you. And that's why sometimes a program like LEAP, which is structured program, also helps you because you're getting a mentor from the program rather than going and seeking out. At least it gets you started out there.
What piece of advice, you've obviously gone and seeked a lot of mentorship, what piece of advice has stuck with you? And what is that piece of advice that you would like to share with the viewers as well? It could be anything to do with your work or just growth or just handling work-life balance.
Actually, every time it has been very different. So there was one stage of life where I was struggling with the dilemma, saying that am I working as a for-profit or am I working as a not-for-profit? And that's a time when I realized that I'm working as a sustainable business which creates social impact, period.
But it has to be sustainable.
It has to be sustainable. So being a business person, being a numbers person, for me, it was all about sustainability and scalability. The second advice which I got very recently from another mentor, Mohit Kral, he said, Sarika, you need to think big. And that's my next phase, is the scaling up and thinking big. Where let us not look at constraints, let us not look at restraints. And said, if everything was in your hands, what would you want to achieve? And that's where we are looking at, or rather you would say a Beyond Diversity 2.0, where we want to make it really big in terms of how can we make sure that the impact numbers are big, it's scalable, it's sustainable in a larger frame. And that's where we are focusing on.
Something you and I discussed, and I just want to bring it back. Diversity, inclusion, and mentoring, for that matter, are huge buzzwords right now. But are they just that? Are they just buzzwords? Or because you work in this field, you know that there is change, and there is an appetite, for these words as well. What do you say?
I would say it was buzzword. It still is for many, but it's changing slow and steady. It's a business imperative. Let's understand. It's an economic and business imperative. There's a war of talent out there for large organizations. If they do not work with diverse talent, they'll be left behind. How are they going to attract the talent? Most of the organizations need to be seen as employers of choice. They need to be seen as an organization with inclusive policies. Why do you think the startups and smaller organizations are being so cool place to work with, or they have these cool policies where they say, okay, fine, holidays at this level, or they don't care whether you're working from home? Because all these are the things which is attracting the youth to come to and work for you, right? And fortunately or unfortunately, you will have to follow that. So many a times it starts as a buzzword in many organizations as they start noticing how it starts impacting the bottom line, how it starts impacting the employee engagement and retention piece around it, how it starts impacting the employer branding part of it. They start realizing it's a business and economic imperative, and then we see the needle being changed. But yes, it's a relatively a very slow process. I wish the speed would have been picked up faster.
But as long as there's a business case for it.
There's definite business case. Pick up any organization. There are many organizations which has become extinct. Large conglomerates, large organizations have become extinct because they were just not seen as inclusive organizations. They were just not there. Their innovation level was just not there because it just did not have that.
Everyone's thinking the same way because everyone's
I'll give you a classic example. Kodak. They had digital camera and digital photography long before anybody else had it in the thing. But they were focusing only on the films. Why? Because they wanted to basically produce those films. Because that's where the money and revenue was coming from. The innovation team had come with certain ideas in digital photography and they shelved it saying it will not sell because it will kill my other business. And what happened? They did not listen. They were not inclusive of different ideas and they could not listen and they could not innovate and they could not ultimately. And now it's history, right? For that matter of fact, I would say even Nokia. How many Nokia phones do you see around us anymore? They simply negated the fact of smartphones. And today smartphones is there in almost everybody's hands. So I personally feel that organizations which are not inclusive, diversity is just a number, but being inclusive is what the behaviors is all about. If you are not inclusive, if you do not listen to the diverse voices and able to work on that, you will not be able to innovate, you will not be able to move ahead. And that's why it's a business imperative.
You mentioned I Inspire, which is your annual conference.
Yes.
This is going to be your 7th edition in April. Tell me more about that, because I love the fact that there's so much conversation about, diversity and inclusion, and you have great speakers, and it's very valuable to listen to certain points of views and just learn from them and take the conversation forward. So tell me about I Inspire.
Okay, so I Inspire actually started as a dream in 2013 when we didn't have a single penny in our pockets. And that was a time when a couple of good Samaritans stepped in and we got some funding from US Embassy and we kind of, as a small grant, and we went ahead and did it. And with the whole idea was that we wanted to bring diverse voices into a conversation. That was the first diversity and inclusive leadership conference happening in India.
Okay.
So it's 7th year happening. We didn't have that kind of a format anywhere where we said we will just not talk about gender, we'll just not talk about corporates, we'll bring everything. So I Inspire over the years, of course, has grown a bit. It has more than 100 plus organizations participating. More than 300 plus people will be coming in. We have more than 30 to 40 speakers from different walks of life. We have corporates, we have social enterprises, we have change makers. We have Anjali Gopalan, who, she made Section 377 possible for us. Fantastic.
She's speaking this
She's
time.
speaking.
Okay.
Then we have Nida, change.org CEO. Then we have people like Noor Jahan, who made triple talaq possible. So
Yeah.
if you look at it, these are the kind of speakers we have from the social impact space, from people who are actually, I would say, stories of courage. If you ask me, we have a young 22-year-old girl who is actually the youngest sarpanch right now. And from the corporates, we have organizations like Genpact, Barclays, Accenture, then RBS, many of them, Eaton, UiPath, robotics and automation. We are talking about robotics and automation also as a part of the diversity, if you ask me. So many of these kind of conversations will happen. Many of these organizations will share their best practices. We also have people who have done extreme sports, people with disabilities. So we are talking about how you're biased about different things, but there are people who are breaking
Actually,
all kind of barriers
exactly.
and doing amazing stuff out there. So different kinds of stories coming out, and again business stories. The business case around it. How can we match the passion purpose to profits?
Okay.
It need not necessarily be two sides of one same coin. It can be actually be co-aligned with each other.
Sarika, so I've known about you for very long now because we've been following each other's work.
We love
And-
your work.
Thank you so much. But what I really like about you is that if you made up your mind about something, you will do it. You will step in and you will do it. So for the longest time, I'll share this with you. For the longest time, we do the chat show, and we've been thinking we'll do the chat show on ground. With a little audience, and there's a lot of interaction that can happen with the guest, etc. I still haven't gotten around to doing it. And in your case, I see for 7 years, you started small. I still remember the first I Inspire. You started small, and then you just went ahead, and now it's the 7th edition. Which is what I like about you. The fact that, you've stepped in and you've said, I'm going to do this, and now it's grown. One last thing, which again came about in
Sure.
our conversation. You're also a huge believer in collaboration, whether it's the people you work with or it's the partners you look for to make anything very big. What is the trick to making collaboration work?
Be open and have trust and faith in people and in yourself. I personally believe everybody feels people who do. See, it's not an economy of competition, it's an economy of collaborations. There's no idea which is unique, it's how you execute it. And you will never be able to execute it alone. You always need partners. If you close yourself like this, you will be like this. If you become like this, you will also become like this. It's like being big.
Awesome. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you. And the best part about what I do at the She Means Business Chat Show is that I get to meet women like you. And I absolutely love that.
It's my pleasure that I get to meet you at last.
No, seriously, every interview, and I'm going to say this on air, every interview, I learn so much. I learn about styles of working. I learn about what has worked for you. And I hope the viewers also take away from that. So there was so much to take away from this interview, whether it's collaboration or it's mentoring. I need mentoring, I think.
I must say, I have been following your channel for such a long time, and I love all the videos, and every time I watch these videos, I get to learn so much. So I'm
Thank you so
being mentored by your videos so much.
Thank you so much. That's the whole purpose, actually.
Yes.
That's the purpose of the chat show. Thank you so much for
Thank
being on
you.
this episode. Thank you so much for your time. And
more than welcome.
I hope we can work together. As
Definitely.
well. We will. And to all my
Definitely
viewers,
we need to collaborate.
Yes. And to all my viewers, if you like this episode, do like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Until next time, stay tuned, stay happy,
And watch She Means Business.
Thank you. See you.